welcome to an introduction to the Aquarian. My name is Liam Jarrett, and it is good that we are here. Let us give tools that we have, namely that which transpired from the technological revolution, the intranet. And because of the advent of the internet and our ability to gather and share information, we have a more accurate view of history. Much has been kept from us by the authorities and kept us in a dark age. Well, this is about coming out of that dark age. And through our gathering and sharing of information, many have discovered that these religions that have served to separate us have many commonalities and some beautiful similarities within the spiritual mystical traditions. It is when we get to the laws and the rules and different interpretations of stories, taking them literally rather than allegorically or metaphorically, we get ourselves in trouble. I am addressing this, the who. The who is you, but let me tell you a little bit about myself because that will help to put this in context and to help us perhaps discern what we're trying to do, how you might be able to help, and this will be a good exercise, I hope. I am somebody who went to become a Catholic priest, instead worked in Catholic schools and churches as a director of religious education. I since have left the Catholic Church and have come to the understanding that many of these stories, such as the person of Jesus, are not historical figures like Moses as well. They are allegories and metaphors and nation founding myths, and lots of these myths are similar throughout other cultures. So in taking that found knowledge of the metaphorical, allegorical nature, symbological nature of these stories, then we take that comb through the religions, and that which is doesn't match up in a historical contextual critique, it doesn't stand up to logic and reason, and that doesn't respect other humans as equal in dignity than another because of a belief or a race. So what the Aquarian is a spiritual movement. It is a religious reformation movement. Because of freedom of religion, there are some benefits in organizing as a religious structure. I have a background in religious structure. But what the Aquarian is, it is taking the attributes of those born at the time of year of Aquarius. That is an astronomical constellation that we use as a guidance point and as a calendar. On a grand calendar, we're moving from the age of Pisces into Aquarius. And this entails switches, changes of attitudes and themes. And these motifs, this worldview, this cosmology, is one thing that runs through many of the different world religions and can be used as a point for syncretism. What we're doing here in the Aquarian temple or church, whatever you want to call it, or none of those things, you could call it a religion or you call it an anti-religion. We have lots of words that have been woven and got us stuck in this web. And we have to shake that off because it's keeping us from coming together. We're looking to give community to the isolated person. Now, those who have fallen out of fancy with organized religion, and rightfully understandable, the horrible things that the Catholic Church is responsible for, the horrible teachings of Abrahamism, the caste system of India, we take this Aquarian attitude that is essentially humanitarian at its core. And using certain verbiage that might be familiar with somebody from a religious background or spirituality, the sacred and divine within humanity, or the dignity. See, we're looking for all-inclusive words. We want to uphold the dignity of all humans equally. It's about life and a respect for death, going hand in hand. We are taking what we've learned from the technological revolution, that person over there isn't so different than me. And we're breaking through the religious boundary by using it as a body. Because we can't enter into the arena to engage and have dialogue and commune with other religious communities if we're not in that arena. We need some sort of organization. I like the term, because we're all against organized religion, right? So, unorganized religion. How do we organize? I think on small groups, and then on the internet we come together and share ideas and brainstorm. Whatever your expression of Aquarianism is going to look different. This is the background I came out of, a Roman Catholic American background. And then you transform where you are. And so if you're in a system that teaches that you're better than another, you transform that. If you have sacraments, rituals, rites, sacred texts that promote violence, supremacy, harm to another, we ask for you to reinterpret it in a way that is more universal and loving, and to share that in your community and to get others on board with that. It's that simple. But just because we have found out that lots of these religious stories aren't historical, but rather mythological, lots of people are like, well, now that I found out that this person didn't exist historically, it's a story that was an amalgamation of many others. What do I do now? That's the question you ask yourself. That's a good question. And use your creative talents, gifts, that's what you have at your disposal to create new ways of gathering in community. I believe that as human beings, we have a proclivity towards celebrating ceremony. We see it in sports and we see it in politics. Because if the void of religion, if a religion's taken out, say Christianity or whatever, something else will be right there to plug that void. Nature abhors a void. And often that'll be a politic party, some ideology, sports worship, celebrity worship. So what we have to do is be creative, come together, and figure out a new way of doing religion, really. Because the way that we're doing it now is leading us towards an apocalyptic Armageddon end world scenario where people are rooting for it. We have people sitting back and waiting for someone to arrive on the clouds, eternally sitting back and doing nothing. We have people looking forward to the next life and not living here and now. We have people putting down another person because they weren't chosen or they're not saved or following the teachings of this. We are doing a religious reformation. It's a spiritual movement. It is a religion for those who don't like religion. We are anti-guruism, papism, celebrityism. We're doing this communally without uniformity. We're looking to express individuality equally. We're looking to do the individuation process to become the best versions of ourselves that we could be in community. This is addressing the pandemic of the isolated, the drug escapism, drunken traumaticness we've received recently and throughout all of history. We have been isolated. Those who have lost their faith in God because of these organized religions we've been mainly given don't have to abandon any hope in a spiritual world. There's adult spirituality that we never got. A beautiful metaphysical esoteric tradition kept alive but mainly hidden. And when these mysteries have been revealed, thanks largely to the internet and information gathering and sharing, where you don't have to go into a secret society or be a part of the elite, we figure out that these stories are allegorical and metaphorical, beautiful, many of them, lots of important deep stuff, but not literal. And us having the literal version of those stories has kept us enslaved, divided. So what the Aquarian church temple movement is, it's trying to help us to move out of the Piscean age, take the good things with it, and then into the Aquarian age with our soul intact, our soul even evolving, hopefully, without turning into a dystopic machine world. Did we not watch Terminator 2, people? If we see what happens. What religion does, it does stand up for the dignity of human beings, where governments and corporations fail to. And the corporation and government, synonymous almost. What does the Aquarian do with politics? Well, to sign up for a legitimate church tax-exempt status in the U.S., you have to give up your rights to talk about politics and social justice activities, which gets totally ignored. But one of the reasons why I'm not so quick to make the Aquarian anything official with the government, I don't want them having names of our members. Question everybody. But also at the same time, I have this American flag up where I'm at. Love where you're at. And do your best to transform it. We're not looking to run away from our problems. We're looking to come up with creative ways to transform, transmutate, to take the wisdom teachings from all around and put them together in your own unique way. It's like you're putting together a playlist that you're going to share with us to bring us into communion with you spiritually. We're coming together in one body to go against the corporate clone system. It's revolutionary Aquarianism. Just look up the attributes of an Aquarius person, what that archetype entails. And all the positive ones, put them into your idea of what the Aquarian is. It's rebellious. But it can also, and it's about the masses. Wherever masses are gathered, that's an Aquarius type situation. We have to not lose our humanity, our emotional capability, not get worked by our emotions like every commercial and weather report I'm like, let me just sit down and watch a little bit of TV. I won't put on the news or anything that's traumatizing me too bad. So I could be peaceful. Put on the Weather Channel. Oh, let me just have some nice little background elevator music. Instead, I have some lady telling me that hurricane after tornado after earthquake and brimstone and fire. I'm like, man, I would have just gone to some Baptist preacher. Maybe it's good to get the hell shaken, scared out of us sometimes. So, ceremony, ritual, you'll see that in my version of Aquarianism, which I call All Souls Aquarian Church Temple, because I'm trying to throw a big net in there. Right now I'm just using the Aquarian Temple. A temple because it is evoking some type of conscious spiritualness. Now, if you're an atheist, you're very much welcome, because we're agnostic in some ways, in that we're trying to figure this out together. We're Gnostic in some ways, in that we share gnosis, which is part of mystical traditions of teachings and wisdom teachings. And we look for you to make up your own mind. Does this make sense to you? Then try it out. Tell me what you think. If it works for you, help others perhaps. We are evangelical in a way, because it's important that we do this, because if we get this out, then maybe people will come to a realization that these stories aren't literal, so we don't literally need an end of the world. We shouldn't literally be rooting it on. If you feel so inclined to join me in this mission, hosting small communities where you bring them through, knowing astrology is helpful in setting up and structuring. In order for this to be something, it's going to need some form of structure. And can it be done in a egalitarian way, where somebody has a certain strength, and so we lift that up, and they add that to the body? It is not those who rule are the head, and everybody else is the hands and the feet. It's not eye for an eye, or we're all going to be blind. I don't know where that came from. I think it's exciting. What we want to do is also get online. My online community will have to grow. Facebook, I feel like Facebook groups. Guerrilla street advertising, doing artwork. Link me up. I'll get you your own tab and page on my website with the link and broadcasting everything you do. That is Aquarian. Aquarian is a large net. Who's alive in the age of Aquarius, my guy? Then you're a part of the Aquarian. Hopefully you're be a helpful part. Selling your wares in street markets. We're looking for small communities. We're not looking to get culled into this big one world, new world order, which is very Masonic and Abrahamic. That doesn't look good for the rest of the world, my friends. Such things as the 7 Noahide laws that are trying to be pushed by the Judeo-Christian sect of America is totally something we could gather around. Many environmental stuff we should gather around, and how big corporations totally rape it, without getting totally psyoped into pushing environmental lockdowns on people to take away their freedom. See how they do a whipperdoodle on that one? Question everything. We look to go through the middle path. Open to new ideas, but not gullible. Discerning and taking that which is logical and testing it and talking about it and working with it, versus being closed-minded and not open to any type of new idea. Get on college campuses. Ideally, what we'll do is hold these beautiful ceremonies and services where we resurrect our ancestral gods before Judeo-Christianity came through and wiped them all out. We are doing a syncretism of these beautiful traditions in Mexico, in Norway, in China, and we bring them together in simpatico, so we're not killing each other. And we're even bringing forth peace, harmony. Religion can be used as such. And that's what my background is, and that's what I'm trying to do. I don't have a background in political science, so I'm not going to be out there politicking. I have a background in religious studies, and that's what I'm trying to use. What's your background in? I have a little bit of talent with art, so I share that and you try to use that. But we need to come together because we're all isolated and separated, and they want us like that because we're weak. And so this is an attempt to bring people together in healthy, conscious community. We need healing. We need to create beauty, celebrate good, offer mercy, compassion, celebrate the divinity, the dignity of humanity, the splendor of life. I think those are things we get around. Where? I talked a little bit about how the age of Aquarius is commencing. And usually when one age shifts to the other, there's a cataclysmic freaking event. And we'll talk in other videos about what other cultures say about this time that we're entering into. Really a golden year, but age, but something it's a golden age for them so that they get to be the masters while everybody else is their footstool. Where and when? When I talked about where, I was like, where in time? When? Now. Now is a very good time. For now is all we have. We keep on waiting and doing nothing, waiting for somebody else to do something, then nothing's ever going to happen. How? If we get on college campuses and so, for example, near me there's this college, a private college that has a multi-faith. Whenever we see multi-faith or interfaith, that's an in, which is why we want to almost get recognized as a religion so that we could be brought at that table. And where we challenge others to agree and to pronounce and to teach that each and every human being are created with certain inalienable rights, that among them are life. Let's just start there. So if there's a religious organization, a church, a temple that teaches that another needs to get wiped out for their religious narrative to unfold, and that's a part of it, then we need to address it. And Aquarian is setting up as a way to address these things. It's a fiery, controversial thing. But at the same time, we're also bringing about healing. And we're tapping into our ancestral traditions that taught us about our relationship with Earth as divine, as a mother goddess, the sacred feminine, not something that should be totally objectified and pornographied and the source of many a problem, but rather something sacred and divine. So, my friends, getting in academia, what does the Aquarian look like academia? Espousing those same things. Who am I? I told you a little bit about my background in religious studies and working in faith formation type places. So So let's go. I know this was a little bit different than my other videos where I do services and hopefully it's more maternal. But if you want to find just, this is, what I want to do on my website, the Aquarian TV, is share other people who are doing Aquarian type stuff. That's why I said it's broad, so you'd be an artist just doing art. You're part of the Aquarian. Are you out there trying to put others beneath your feet? Well, then you're aboard. Community. Do you want to get together in community? You could just want to play all types of stuff we could do. I'm not crazy. I'm not just lonely. But a lot of this is kind of personal because I went to, I miss church. I miss the community. I miss the solemnity. I miss the celebratory nature of it. It keeps you in touch with the seasons. Which you'll see that I set up the Aquarian along with the seasons. And you'll see that that's done everywhere else. But we're trying to put our own new twist on things. Why are we following a 2,500-year-old or even older religion? It's made by man. We could come up with a better one. Oh, it was handed down by God. It was inspired by God. You know, a sacred text could be equally as inspired by God as a love poem from a frickin' 5th grader on the bus. But there are lots of traditions, and Judaism kept along a mystical, beautiful tradition, and Kabbalah kept a lot of Hermetic teachings alive from Greece and Egypt and Persia and even out to Tibet. We have so much to learn from the East, the native tribes and their beautiful relationship with nature. We could bring these all together in one lit ceremony. And it's not just coming together for kumbaya, it's also challenging other faith leaders and even individual people just like you and me to open up our hearts to others, even though they're different, that they are equally as human and divine. The Aquarian Temple.com is where you will see how I uniquely do Aquarianism. That's not the Vatican. We are non-dogmatic. We are communal. We celebrate the individual at the same time. Aquarian checking out. Thank you all so much for checking in. Go to the website. See, I hate saying my, because I'm trying to make this something that isn't about a me thing. We need to try to take our egos out of things, and we're not doing things for fame, for fortune, but because it's something that really is needed. Perhaps this is something that we can get passionate about. I'm passionate about it. Can we get others passionate about it? What do we offer? A slogan could be, know thyself, or come up with your own. Do come up with your own way. I like a kind of hippie vibe. You can make yours a total technological vibe. It's exciting, I think. It's a movement. We could find out. We take a historically critical approach to religion. We see that lots of it is BS, to be honest, and used to control and mind manipulate. Just because we figured that out doesn't mean we have to abandon spirituality altogether. Rather, there's lots of other traditions that have a wealth of spiritual material to give to us, and it's available now more than ever. And there's also lots that has been hidden, which is now being revealed, and sometimes maybe hidden for good reason. But it's got out. A theme of Aquarianism is knowledge, revelation. breaking out of the box. Well, the Aquarian is coming out. We're coming out. With regards to sexual identity being so intertwined with sexual preference, we love everybody equally, and however one decides to identify whateverly is lovely. But we don't have that as something that takes over the whole body of this movement. We're open and we're loving to all people of all backgrounds, faith, tradition. We have a bunch of healing that we have to do from theologies that we were raised in. I have a master's in theology, so I know what I'm talking about. It means nothing. I got these degrees that mean nothing. I've learned more in a YouTube video than I have with maybe all of them combined. We do need some type of organization. I believe getting on college campuses is cool. Make t-shirts. I make t-shirts. I put decals on my car. I think instead of a fish on the back of every car, we should put the Aquarius logo. We're moving out of the ocean of delusion. But we look for language that helps to bring us together, that's inclusive. I mean, it's all right to get a little fiery sometimes, but we're looking to ultimately be a place that is a refuge, a safe place after getting beat around in this world. And religion is supposed to be a place where you could go for some revivification, and instead you just go get molested. If not physically, your bank account. And just your overall freaking self. We're looking for sovereignty. Spiritual sovereignty. Human sovereignty. What respects the dignity of the human being is freedom. So the more laws that are rained down upon us humans, the less free we are. Vive la revolution! See what I'm doing? I've replaced the sacrament of blood and flesh with the Aquarian sacrament of water blessing. Theologically, it makes more sense to the modern man. What that is just a remnant left back from an idea of God who needs human sacrifice for the crops to grow next freaking spring. I think we could do better than that. And we are doing better than that. The Aquarian temple, church, whatever you want to call it. You could go to the aquariantemple.com and see ceremonies and services. And you could set yours up in similar fashion. They could be a guide, inspiration for you. But they're not a set rule law. We're just looking to harm no one at the least. We're not even calling you to go out and do good. Don't harm others and try to keep others from harming other people. We're going to shoot for the lowest common denominator. Just don't preach a gospel that entails genociding half of the world so that your people could take their mountaintop. That'd be great if we could agree on a theology that doesn't include the majority of the world getting burnt up. I'll say a new religious movement. Sure, I'll take that on. Even though I hate the word religion, we have all different ideas of what a religion is. But we have a main idea, the main religions. And okay, I'll take that on. New Age. Lots of criticisms about New Ageism. Very similar to the ones we have about Christianity. And there's times where I talk as myself, it's a little schizo, and times where I talk as a we. Because I'm trying to do something more than just a me. It's got to be a we. But right now, it's just really my dad and I. Maybe like 1 or 2 subs on YouTube. Maybe I should just do something all together. This isn't going anywhere. Doing this for 3 years. Is it not clear? We need a building. We need to get in buildings to start schools, hospitals, food banks. The homeless situation is horrible. Psychological training, practical tending of wounds. Breaking out of religious mind slavery courses, workshops. Let's go, my friends. The Aquarian. I'm Liam, and I love you.